God damn it. I got you. I got you, baby. Come on. I got you. I got you, baby. I know. Hey, she's still alive. Hey, start CPR. She's still alive. She's still alive. Come on. Come on, baby. Come on, baby. Come on, baby. Come on, baby. It's in the passenger seat in the Ziploc bag. Come on, baby. No, I can't. Come on, baby. Come on, baby. Come on, baby. Come on, baby.
Just hit her with narc, yeah.
I don't know. It sounded like she was trying to gargle. I don't know.
I wish I were sharing a happy childhood story tonight. But instead, I'm here to tell you about Xaqueline Bynum, 𝐃𝐨𝐲, to the people who loved her. She came into the world on February 27, 2019, in Hanford, California. Big brown eyes, fearless smile, and, believe it or not, a quirky fascination with spiders. While most kids shrieked, Zaki leaned in, curious, studying every leg. That was her spirit. Brave, inquisitive, a little bit wild in the best way. Not long after she was born, her family, Mom Music 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐫𝐞, Dad Matthew Curtis Bynum, and her big brother, just 2 years older, moved to the quiet outskirts of Silver City, New Mexico. They settled in an aging trailer down a dirt road. No running water, no real heat. They burned coal in a metal tub to keep the cold away. Life inside that trailer was fragile. Music and Matthew struggled with addiction. Neighbors noticed, social workers were called, but the warnings never turned into real help. So Zaki and her brother did what kids do. They made a game of hardship, singing songs, laughing at cartoons, chasing each other through narrow hallways. Tiny pockets of joy in a place that offered so little. March 10th, 2024, started like any other quiet morning in the remote parts of Grant County, New Mexico. But inside a small, decaying trailer home tucked far from the road, something unimaginable had already happened.
Grant County 911, what is the address of the emergency?
97 Quail Run.
Okay, tell me exactly what happened.
I'm staying with some friends right now, and they are completely... We have a little girl who's not responsive at all. Then they have a 7-year-old boy who is mostly responsive. I was able to get him on a chair, but I don't know what's going on.
Okay.
I really don't. I woke up and I heard someone yelling, ow, ow. And so I went in and I was trying to help him.
Okay, give me a second while I get them started on their way, okay?
What's going on?
Some of the people in the home right here that aren't responding.
They're not responding?
So there's one that's not responding.
Where at? In this one?
That one.
Who's here? Sheriff's office.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Inside were 34-year-old Music 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐫𝐞 and her boyfriend, 39-year-old Matthew Curtis Bynum, barely conscious, slumped over, eyes glazed, bodies limp. They couldn't stand, couldn't speak clearly. But beneath them, hidden by the chaos of their immobility, lay something far worse.
Not much. Sorry, I'm really stiff this morning. I can't sit upright.
Are you guys on anything?
No.
No? What?
No, I'm just really stiff from...
What's wrong with them?
He's tired, I think.
Is he awake?
He is awake. He moved from here over to there. He is awake.
Yeah. Okay. Who's not responsive?
Not responsive.
The girl in the middle.
The girl, she's responsive.
Let me see.
Yeah.
You guys need to move.
Yes.
Move.
Oh, shit.
You guys need to get up now.
Yeah.
Get up.
We're getting up. We're getting up.
Get up.
We're getting up. I'm getting up.
Let's go. Get up.
Yes, yes, I'm getting up.
Let's go. Hurry up. Get up.
I'm going.
You guys need to get out.
Yes, sir.
Let's go. Hurry up.
I'm going. I'm going.
Get up. Stand up. Stand up.
I can't.
Yes, you can. Stand up. Get up. Hurry up.
Thank you.
You need to get up.
Got it.
Let's go. Get up.
I'm getting up.
Leave her alone. Do not touch her. Get up. Go get the other deputies now.
They should be out here.
Go get them. Let's go. Get up.
Hey,
What is it?
We got a 10-7
Where?
right here.
Who, kid?
Move. Get up. Yes.
Get up now! Get up! Get out! I don't care! Stand up!
Let's go. Where's your shoes at?
How long? Hondo?
Pretty old.
Check his vitals.
My leg
Did y'all smoke dope?
Huh?
No.
My leg I can't bend it down.
Your leg hurts?
No, I can't bend
Hey,
it
send a
down.
55 for him.
Check his vitals.
My leg.
Did y'all smoke dope?
No.
Fentanyl? What is it?
No, it's not fentanyl. We just fell asleep really hard. We're really sick.
55 for him.
32 Central. Start at 55.
Let's go. Want me to carry you? Come here. Come here. I'll carry you.
Start me at 55 Central.
We have a 55 en route. What's going on?
Okay, we have a possible 10-7 child.
Get him out here.
Stand up.
I'm not copying 8.
Stand up. Come on. Give me your hands. Give me your hands.
where is this going?
Stand up! Now!
Okay.
I'm not gonna tell you again! Stand up!
I'm standing up. I'm trying to.
Give me your other arm.
Yeah. Ow!
Stand up!
I'm not gonna tell you again.
I'm really trying to stand up. Okay.
God damn it, dude.
Stand up!
I'm trying to stand up. I'm trying to stand up.
When first responders stepped into the trailer, they were met with the overwhelming stench of rot and garbage. The space was filled with clutter, filth, and a chilling silence. Little Xaqueline was pale, cold, and unresponsive. Her body lay still between her parents, who appeared too far gone to even realize she was no longer breathing.
I'm trying to stand up. I'm trying to stand up. Can't think.
The call that brought help didn't come from the parents. It came from a man named 𝐷𝐸𝐿𝐴, a family acquaintance who had been living out of his truck on the property. That morning, he was jolted awake by screaming coming from the trailer. What he found inside was a nightmare. The girl lifeless, her brother weak and dazed, and the adults frozen in place. Music reportedly insisted there was nothing wrong. She tried to wave Thaddeus off, claiming they didn't need help. But something in her demeanor, disoriented, confused, almost detached, made him trust his instincts. He called 911 anyway. Deputy 𝐼𝐸𝐴 was the first officer to arrive. He was hit immediately by the rancid air inside the trailer, layers of neglect clinging to every surface. Amid the chaos, he noticed something odd. A metal tub filled with ashes and covered with a pan, possibly used for heating. At the time, it seemed like just another piece of the wreckage. Later, it would become central to understanding what really happened. 𝐼𝐸𝐴 rushed to little Xaqueline and began CPR, trying to revive the child while her parents sat barely conscious a few feet away. Despite the desperate attempts, it was too late. She was pronounced dead that same evening. Their son, somehow, survived. He was weak, dehydrated, and suffering from early signs of respiratory distress, but he was still alive. Paramedics rushed him to the hospital.
What happened down here?
Open. The door was already open. I seen the parents laying down. The son, he didn't look responsive. I didn't see him until I asked him. I said, "What's going on?" I looked left. He's just sitting on the chair, all lethargic. Well, what's wrong with him? And I saw him moving and breathing, so I was like, okay. So I went to go check on him. I was who's not responsive? And then she goes, the mom goes, I don't think she is. And I looked, and they're on top of her. I didn't even see him. Like half of his left body was on her left side, half of her right body was on her other side. So she moved, and I looked at the kid, and he was okay. He was breathing, he was moving at least. I looked at her, and it was just, she was already gone. I felt her. I was wearing. I just felt her leg, and she was stiff and cold. I tried getting the dad. I tried getting him up. They couldn't get up. I tried to put it in.
Did you Narcan someone?
I tried to, but I already did before.
Get him again?
Because we were out here. I had the sun. Put on my hood, and comes running. She said she's still alive, so we Narcaned her right here. I don't know what he was feeling, but I don't think she was.
No, they said she was been gone for a while. Probably a death battle. Dude, it was her birthday yesterday.
But the biggest mystery loomed. What could have rendered two adults so incapacitated that they didn't even notice their daughter dying right beside them?
So me confused. So nothing? What about Right, just be honest with me because I need to be able to treat your kid.
Let me get up, okay? Stand up. Sit down. Sit up, come here. Alright, thank you.
What did you take?
I don't remember taking anything.
How long have you been out?
Last night, what was the last time that you were okay?
Last time I was okay. We were laying in the bed there. Had to split all the oak.
Hey, what the hell did you take, bro? What did you take?
I didn't take anything.
What do you guys have then?
I don't have anything.
You want me? You want to take him to the unit?
We'll get that once EMS checks on vitals.
We'll take him. Let's take one at a time. I don't know if he can walk.
He needs to get seen first.
Okay, so we don't know exactly what they took. They're both confused, so you don't want to say anything. We have one 10-7, 5-year-old. Yeah. Another one, bad condition. He was unconscious, I believe, when they got here. And she was also in bad condition when they got here. But our detectives are on their way right now, so we're just securing everything. She good? Let's go. Stand up. What's your name?
Music.
Huh?
Music.
Alright, stand up, Music, and place your hands behind your back, okay?
Okay. Right. I can't really stand here very well. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I'm trying. I'm trying.
Turn around. Give me your other hand.
No. Sorry.
Come on.
I'm trying. I'm really trying.
Music initially claimed she hadn't used any substances in over 24 hours, but as she was being transported to the hospital, she admitted to medics that both she and Matthew had smoked meth the day before, something that, according to her, had become a routine. She added something else. March 9th had been Xaqueline's birthday, a birthday spent in filth and confusion, with two parents too high to remember how to care. Still, the effects they displayed, near paralysis, mental fog, hallucinations, didn't quite match the usual profile of methamphetamine use. It didn't make sense.
You awake?
What?
Are you good?
I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know?
I'm not sure.
Give me a second. Yeah. He's not feeling too good. I don't know if you guys want to check him out again.
Who?
He's leaning to the side and he says he's not feeling too good.
The dad? Hello? What's going on?
Nothing.
You said you don't feel good?
Yeah. Lightheaded.
Lightheaded?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, can you tell me what your name is? Do you mind if we just check your vitals one more time?
That's when suspicion turned toward Thaddeus. He had been the only one coherent, the only one not affected.
What's going on? Yeah.
Why am I being arrested?
You're not being arrested. You're being detained. Turn around.
Why?
Because you're up here and there's a kid. That's why.
Kid?
Yeah.
I wasn't even in the house until
I don't care.
called. I didn't know she was. I really didn't. That's why I called. I didn't know what.
Look. Wait until they read you your rights. Then you can start talking.
Thank you.
Investigators brought him in for questioning, trying to figure out what he saw, what he knew, and whether he might have played a role in what happened. Back at the scene, detectives tried to talk to Music again. Her story kept shifting. At one point, she claimed she didn't know her daughter had died. But then she slipped, mid-sentence, acknowledging her drug use during the birthday, contradicting her previous statement.
Diabetes, seizures, strokes.
I have had seizures before because I got a minor nasocranial fracture on a bicycle, but it was like 10 years ago.
What's your name?
Music.
Can you spell that?
MUSIC. My parents are long-haired freaky people. They really named me Music. I have an ID.
Do you have heart problems?
Not that I know of, but I have been having a lot of episodes where my both arms will be super numb when I wake up in the morning. But nothing like last night. Last night I couldn't sit up because it was excruciating. And my kids were all floppy, like, we all were all floppy. I can't explain it. I don't have any idea. I don't know how my kids would have gotten it. We were at their birthday party all day. Like, we did not have on us at the birthday party.
Initially, some believed she might have been a mother caught in a terrible accident. But that idea began to crumble. Her son later told medical staff that he hadn't eaten in 2 days, stretching back before his sister's birthday. And when doctors examined him, they found he couldn't stand. His legs were weak, nearly useless, just like his parents. Could something else have poisoned this family?
How's he doing?
He's good.
He is?
Said he hasn't eaten since Friday. So.
Detectives didn't tell Music right away that her daughter had died. They wanted to observe her reaction. At the hospital, she rambled and deflected.
She couldn't sit up. I have no idea. Like, I've done a lot of drugs and nothing has ever been like that. And I don't know what it was. But I do want a toxicology to know if something is going on. Everybody that was at the party, I trusted.
Are you going to be her nurse? Okay. So just real quick, I don't know if you're aware of her situation, what's going on. So if she brings anything up, she hasn't questioned anything yet, so let's just ignore it. So she doesn't know anything at all. She doesn't know that her kids yet. So let's just, if she does say anything, just ignore it.
My kids have been feeling really weird. All we had to eat in bed last night was some chocolate cake that we got for my daughter for her birthday. I do smoke weed, and the last time I ingested any is at, well, they're approximately 12:30.
Okay.
Before we head out to the park for her birthday party. And it was probably going to ask if I can see my dad. We talked to him, I just want to see him.
I can't let you leave this. I can't let you leave this room.
Kind of got a little bit of a mess right now.
Yeah.
So we're working through it a little bit at a time. The reason I'm here, I wonder if I could take some pictures of you.
Yes, that's fine.
Thank you so much.
Are you the detective?
I am.
Are you the one that will also be getting a toxicology report? Because I need one. I know I've done a lot of drugs in my life and I've never felt anything like I did last night. It was completely bizarre.
Well,
and all that we had was the chocolate cake that we bought at Albertsons just before bed. We ate one more slice of chocolate cake.
And what was it that you felt last night?
Last night, I just felt like I couldn't hold myself up. Like, I kept falling into the wall. My kids kept falling into the walls.
You're weak, you were dizzy.
All
how
of
so?
the above.
Alright. You have any questions for me?
Are my kids okay?
Your kids are okay right now.
Yeah?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, it's one of your kids is here right now, but I'll talk to you about this more here in a little bit, okay?
Try to get it to pee, but you could.
You could have won.
But we on his leg. So we're gonna do a leg X-ray, and then they need to go on his chest.
You want another blanket?
Any findings so far?
Okay, let me get you another blanket.
When they finally brought her in for formal questioning, she agreed to speak without a lawyer. Matthew, on the other hand, requested legal counsel.
when we have a death occur, we treat every death as if it's a homicide until we can prove otherwise, whether it's someone, old person dying in their bed or what have you. So just for those reasons, we're going to take some pictures, okay?
Who died?
What's that?
Who died?
The little girl's gone. Okay. So we're going to have you stand up. Officer Carrasco is going to remove your handcuffs. We're going to take some pictures, okay?
Stand up, sir.
You guys are waking me up. She was talking.
So, Mr. Bynum, here in a while, we're going to have a conversation about that, okay? But I know you're going to need a little time.
Wait for representation.
Okay, you're going to want a lawyer?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, then let's take some pictures and then we can get you back to the cell for now, okay?
You guys are free to go. You guys are free to go. You just can't go back to the house.
Back to the house right now.
Yeah. So. Yeah. Well, he doesn't know. That's what I'm telling him.
I don't know.
Okay, yeah. So you can't go back to the house. You guys are free to go. You guys' phones. She understands the phone. Yeah. You guys come back tomorrow and get with the detectives in the morning.
At the same time, Thaddeus sat in another room at the sheriff's office. He said the couple only smoked marijuana, not meth. That was a lie. But when detectives asked about how the family heated their trailer, he mentioned they had been burning coal inside, in a metal container. No ventilation, no airflow. That one detail changed everything.
Sorry about that. Got a lot going on right now. Alright, so I'm going to read this to you. It's an advice of your rights. It's because I take to investigative detention, okay? Yeah. Considering the matter at hand. Yeah. I saw that you were the 911 caller. Yes. But before we get into that, let's start in the morning. So how did the morning start?
Well, I don't know if you saw the red van there or not with the dogs in it barking. That's where I'm trying to convert that into a little trailer. That's where I was sleeping. I woke up and I thought I heard the kids playing around outside, and then I realized that someone was yelling out from inside the tiny home, and I didn't know why. So I got out of the van, and I went and I checked. There was music. Matt was kind of laying near music, like almost on top of Zachy, little girl. So that's what I decided to call 911.
So let's just kind of backtrack it a little bit. So you heard music yelling. So you hear that. You walk to the door. You go to the door and you open the door and you see Zach, you said? Zachy. And music laying on what?
Well, that was on the bed. Zachy was kind of half on, half off, and music was not on the bed at all.
How did they heat the house?
It's a propane heater on the wall, yes. But last night, a few nights ago, the propane ran out, and they had taken it off to go get propane, but never got it to the propane tip.
Did they ever start fires in the house?
No. They don't start fires in the house. They go and I thought you saw the coals in the bathtub.
Yeah.
So that was where they went and they burned wood and brought it in once it was coals and no smoke left.
Yeah, because that's what I saw. I saw that and I was like, well, maybe we could be looking at carbon monoxide here too.
It was. I don't think it would have been because last night they might have used wood, the coals to heat it, but it's probably not likely.
Coal burning releases carbon monoxide, a deadly, invisible gas that displaces oxygen in the blood. It causes confusion, nausea, muscle weakness, and eventually unconsciousness or death. And in an enclosed space like that trailer, it could kill in hours. The theory began to make sense. Xaqueline, a 5-year-old with no defenses, would have been the first to succumb. Her parents and brother followed, just enough exposure to break them down, but not kill them outright.
Zachy.
Wow. Did not know that.
Zachy's gone. That's why all of this is happening.
Yeah.
Because we need to figure out how in the heck this even came to be.
Yeah.
Okay. So I know last time we talked a lot about doing the right thing and this and that.
Yeah.
I mean, that situation that you're in, definitely a good time to do that, right?
Right.
I can't even think of a situation where it would be more important to know what's going on than right now. I'm not the kind of cop that likes to get people caught up. That's not why I do this. That's not why I'm here. Right now, seeing her covered up, seeing her afterwards. Like I'm not lying. Like it knocked me down. I cried for a good long while.
I saw you walking away from the ambulance crying.
Yeah,
I didn't know why.
Yeah, it got a lot worse after that. Right now, my job is to do right by Zachy and lie the best I can by understanding what's going on. I mean, and like I said, sometimes things happen. Sometimes people kill other people on purpose.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's accidental or things go too far. There's a million reasons why something could happen, why something could come to be, right? And sometimes there's little details of things that happen that end up meaning a lot down the road. Like you could be like, well, I noticed this, or I did see that, or I overheard whatever, or I had this feeling, or something that smelled right and something, right? So sometimes those things can lead to having a greater understanding. So is there anything of that nature regarding anyone that was there at any time that could have led potentially to that?
I only ever heard music and Matt argue, but it was usually when Matt was super tired and stayed up all night gathering wood and stuff. And then the truck would break down or something would go wrong and he did. And music was, it's common for that to happen, but it was never around the kids. They never did anything around the kids and they loved them so much.
Is there anything that stands out to you about what happened that could explain what's going on here?
Oh, I mean, what stood out was I could say how pale it was, or that's what I called it.
Recording for us?
Yep.
So I'm sure they went over this several times with you, but boy was somewhere in this region. Dad was laying here, decedent here, and then mom off to the side. And then when Thaddeus came in, he saw them here. She was super pale. For some reason, moved him to this chair. And then came back. And then that's when he started calling 911. Girl could have gotten sick. I mean, living like this, you know? Gets a little bit of a cold or something, and there you go. She had any kind of immunocompromise.
So they said that she got sick and threw up?
The mom was like, I've done a lot of drugs in my life. She goes, I occasionally do meth and but I don't do heroin, nothing like that, and I've never felt like I did last night ever in my life.
A follow-up investigation of the trailer supported the theory. Then came toxicology results. Xaqueline's carboxyhemoglobin levels, normally under 5% in healthy people, were at 70%. Fatal. Her little body had been suffocated by invisible poison. The next day, Music and Matthew were brought in again. Investigators still hadn't told them about the carbon monoxide. They wanted honest answers, not cover stories. Matthew clammed up. Music rambled, deflecting to her addiction. She never acknowledged the real danger they'd created by burning coal indoors with the windows sealed tight.
Like I said, you can invoke this anytime you want, right? Like the deputy told you, I'm Detective Orozco, you could just call me Randy, that's fine. So my job is to figure out what happened, and you are someone that can give me information that I obviously wasn't there for.
Yes.
So I'm playing a little bit of catch up.
I do smoke weed and speed, but I had not imbibed any speed.
Okay, so just to be clear with speed, thank you. I appreciate
I do not use them regularly. It was just kind of like I wasn't feeling good. doesn't matter. That's all just excuses. But anyways, I had not used any past like noon 30 at the very latest.
Okay.
And there was nothing that she could get in the room. The room is extremely messy, and that is true. And we're working on it. We don't have a vehicle right now to even take it to the dump. So it's really, really
hard.
It is hard.
Crazy hard.
And we had a friend that was letting us use their truck to do dump runs and stuff.
Okay, I'm sorry. I
To
didn't.
do dump runs and
Oh,
stuff.
okay.
And yeah, I've done, not recently, but like recently I've just done, and I've done a lot of drugs throughout my life though. My name is music. My parents named me music, you know, that's the life I grew up in. But I've never felt like I did last night. It was unreal. Like I couldn't hold myself up. My daughter and my son couldn't hold themselves up. I had no idea what was going on. I just wanted us to get some sleep, and I thought that would help. And I don't know what it was. That was not like anything I've ever experienced.
But too, that's extremely weird, right?
Yes.
Just like that, stuff like that doesn't happen.
I don't have any idea what happened, but I want to know what was in my system, and I want to know how it got to my kid's system, because they did not get in. I'm telling you, and an investigation will have to be done, and that is fine with me. But I know that I do not do things, or I know that. And so if that's in my system, and if that's in my little girl's system, somebody put it there. Sorry, excuse my language, but I do not
speak however you want. You're going through some right now. Straight up.
No, I want to speak eloquently because I don't want to
be misconstrued.
I don't want to be misconstrued. I know that a lot of people come through here lying about what they do, and I am not here to lie about what I do. I'm here to figure out what happened to my children, because I just want to know they're okay.
So
we want the opportunity to become the best fit for them. I don't know what happened. I don't think it was the cake or anything. I don't know what it was.
what about the heater for the house?
The heater, we don't have the propane system. We're out of propane.
And the cold? Like if we had the cold or whatever
the
you were
place that we
burning in
had-
there?
Yeah, it was cold. They were cold. But we burn them all the way to cold so they don't smoke the place out, and then we vent the window. Normally we have a propane heater, and when we have the propane hooked up to the heater that's up against the wall, we still leave it vented, because the kids were, a while back, like when we first moved in, this is over a year ago, my son was waking up, throwing up, and we discovered it's because we had all the windows shut with the propane heater on, so it wasn't ventilating properly, so we started leaving the windows just cracked, and that was enough, and all the throwing up stuff.
Yeah, that was my initial thought with everyone in the house. Like you guys, from what we were told at the time, like people just aren't feeling good, and having that type of heater inside the house, or even burning the coals inside, you get a little carbon monoxide. A certain percent, I'm not a doctor, some percent you're going to start feeling sick and whatnot, and after that things get a little bit more serious.
Yeah.
Right, progressively more serious until that's solved.
There should have been at least 2 windows in the house.
Later, when Music was finally told her daughter had died, her reaction seemed rehearsed. She paused. She cried without tears. The detective's notes describe her reaction as possibly real or possibly a performance.
Zy, right? Is that your son's name? Zy? I checked on him at the hospital when I saw you. So from what they're thinking, at that time, things could have changed. He looks like he has a touch of pneumonia.
Okay.
Okay, but I mean, otherwise, he seemed pretty okay. They're treating them. They're going to do what doctors do.
Yeah.
Right, and check him for all sorts of stuff. Zachy, she didn't survive. Fine. But we are going to look into it as deeply as we possibly can to try to get a better answer for what happened.
It would take months for charges to come, but eventually, both 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐫𝐞 and Matthew Bynum were arrested. The charges: intentional child abuse resulting in death, abandonment, neglect. As of late 2024, their trial is still pending. If convicted, they could spend the rest of their lives in prison. And little Xaqueline, she'll never grow older than 5. Her voice, her birthday, her childhood, all silenced in a trailer full of toxic air, surrounded by people too broken to save her. Rest in peace, little beautiful Xaqueline. What do you think? Was this a tragic accident, or something far worse? Let me know in the comments. And if stories like this matter to you, subscribe, because some voices don't get heard unless we tell their stories.
He looks so ugly.
Stop playing with me.
And he looks like a monkey.
Stop playing.
And then it sure looks like a spider web. Oh, yucky.
Every life holds value. Every voice deserves to be heard. But sometimes, the warning signs go unnoticed, and silence becomes deadly. When someone is struggling, when a child seems withdrawn, or a friend's behavior shifts in an unsettling way, it's easy to assume it's not our place to interfere. But what if speaking up could change everything? What if one small action could prevent a tragedy? Today, we're going to talk about a case that serves as a heartbreaking reminder of why we can't ignore the signs. A story of missed opportunities, overlooked cries for help, and the devastating consequences of silence. At first glance, Rika's story seemed like any other. A young girl, growing up, going to school, and captured in smiling photographs. But as investigators later uncovered, there was a darker reality hidden beneath the surface. One that raised troubling questions about the warning signs that were missed. In the months leading up to her tragic passing, concerns had been raised. Teachers noticed changes in her behavior, subtle but significant. Those around her sensed that something wasn't right. But what happened behind closed doors remained unseen, until it was too late. How does something like this happen? How does an innocent child, whose cries were heard by teachers, neighbors, and even child protection workers, slip through the cracks? This isn't just about harm. It's about a broken system that let it continue. But before we dive into her story, I want to take a moment to thank all of you, my amazing viewers and subscribers. Your support through likes, shares, and comments helps make these stories matter. If you're new to this channel, be sure to subscribe and join our growing community. Now, let's begin. Before her name appeared in the headlines, Rika Roundtree was simply a little girl, full of life, just like so many others. She was born in 2008, and her mother, Antionetta Simmons, worked hard to give her a sense of safety, even as their world seemed to fall apart. Rika's personality was infectious. She had a way of spreading joy wherever she went, like a light that never seemed to dim. Whether through her playful songs or heartfelt compliments, Rika made everyone around her feel special. One of Rika's greatest joys was her love for dolls, but for her, they weren't just toys. They were everything. Rika treated her dolls as if they were her own children. She dressed them carefully, fed them, tucked them into bed each night, creating a world where everything felt safe and magical. It wasn't just play for Rika. It was her escape, a world where she could protect others, a place where life's harsh realities couldn't touch her. But it wasn't just her imagination that defined Rika. She was kind, thoughtful, and full of warmth. These qualities made her the apple of her mother's eye. Antionetta, her mom, recalls how Rika was always by her side, like a best friend. Wherever I went, she was right there with me, Antionetta remembered. She wasn't just my daughter, she was my best friend. We'd laugh, play, and every day felt like a new adventure. But as we know, no family is immune to life's challenges. In 2016, Rika's world began to change in ways no child should ever have to face. Antionetta, a single mother, was facing the crushing weight of financial struggles. The constant pressure to provide for her children led her to make a decision no parent ever should have to make. With the constant fear of losing everything, Antionetta turned to selling illegal substances, not out of greed, but out of sheer desperation. It was a decision born of necessity, not malice. But in September 2016, her world came crashing down when she was arrested. For Rika and her older brother, this marked the beginning of an uncertain future. Rika was placed into the custody of her biological father, Richard Roundtree, a man Antionetta had always been wary of. The pain of that day was overwhelming for Antionetta. She pleaded with the authorities, begging them not to send Rika to live with her father. She had an instinct that something was wrong, but her pleas went unheard. I begged them not to send her there, Antionetta later recalled. I knew she wouldn't be safe. I told them something wasn't right, but no one listened. She went on to say, they didn't care. They saw my arrest, not the bond I had with my daughter. They didn't understand how well I knew her. They didn't listen to my concerns about her safety. Antionetta didn't know that Rika wasn't just going to live with her father. She was entering a home with a dark history. Richard's girlfriend, Cynthia Baker, had a past filled with troubling allegations, including accusations of violence against children. Yet, despite her history, the system overlooked these red flags. In the eyes of DCFS, placing Rika with her father seemed like the safer option. They disregarded Antionetta's concerns and chose to ignore the potential danger. What they couldn't see, or perhaps chose not to see, was the trauma that was waiting for Rika. From the moment she stepped into that house, her life as she knew it was over. At just 8 years old, Rika found herself subjected to cruel and unforgiving treatment. She was forced to carry heavy cans for hours, her small arms shaking with the strain. Every time she faltered, Cynthia would lash out, making the punishment even more unbearable. This wasn't a momentary ordeal. It became a regular, grueling routine. Rika was isolated from the family. While other children ate, she was left to sit alone, hungry and humiliated. Her clothes were worn and tattered, signs of the neglect she was enduring. She didn't even have a bed of her own, just a bare mattress on the cold floor where she was left to sleep after each exhausting day. And her dolls, once her comfort, were destroyed, leaving Rika with nothing to escape into. The world she had once created in her imagination was slowly taken away from her. The emotional toll was even worse. Cynthia's goal wasn't just to hurt her physically, it was to break her spirit. Rika was kept away from everyone, isolated from the love and care that every child deserves. A young girl who should have been surrounded by joy and laughter was instead trapped in a cycle of fear. Despite several attempts by teachers, neighbors, and others who noticed the signs of harm, the system repeatedly failed Rika. In early 2016, a teacher at her school noticed bruises on Rika's arms and reported it to DCFS. Investigators visited the home, but no real action was taken. Weeks went by and the bruises remained. In September of the same year, another teacher observed marks on Rika's face. This time, the report was escalated to DCFS, but once again, the case was closed with no further investigation. There was no follow-up to ensure Rika's safety, and no one bothered to check on her well-being. In the fall of 2018, Rika, just 8 years old, began attending Fox Creek Elementary in Bloomington as a third grader. It was here that, once again, a disturbing event occurred that would trigger another investigation from DCFS. The school, where Cynthia's 6-year-old daughter was also enrolled in kindergarten, became the setting for an unsettling situation. One cold day, the school staff noticed something troubling. Rika had come to school without a winter coat, despite the freezing temperatures typical for Illinois. In an act of kindness, the staff offered Rika a warm coat, the kind that every child deserves. However, instead of expressing thanks, Cynthia stormed into the school, furious and accusing the staff of showing favoritism toward Rika over her own daughter, who already had a coat. This bizarre incident didn't end there. Just a few days later, on December 10, 2018, DCFS received another report of abuse involving Rika. School staff had noticed something even more concerning. Rika had missed 2 days of school, and upon returning, she had 2 black eyes, each at a different stage of healing. This was the moment that could have made a difference. DCFS sent Patricia Shannon, a child protection specialist, to investigate. Rika's injuries weren't new, but the system seemed to be moving through the motions once again. Shannon arrived at the school, prepared to question Rika about the marks on her face. The school nurse, Polly Bailado, expressed concern about the bruises, which didn't seem consistent with a simple fall. Despite this, Rika, understandably too scared to speak up, explained that she had been sick for a day, and then had accidentally fallen onto her toys while packing them in her closet. The lie was a defense mechanism. Rika, like so many children in her position, was terrified that speaking the truth would lead to more punishment. Antionetta, Rika's mother, had a sinking feeling. She feared Rika was hiding the truth to protect the people who had hurt her. She knew Rika was scared of the consequences if she were honest. No child should have to live in that kind of fear. Even after the report, DCFS attempted to intervene, as per their protocol. They asked Richard and Cynthia to take Rika to see a doctor. Richard, however, claimed that Rika's doctor was on vacation and that they couldn't afford the emergency room visit, citing the cost of $200. But the cost wasn't the only issue. Cynthia, too, refused to take Rika for medical attention. She claimed Rika's medical card had expired and that she was too busy with the other children to take care of Rika, who needed medical help the most. But that wasn't the end of it. Cynthia also ignored instructions from a doctor in Pontiac, who recommended an X-ray to assess the severity of Rika's injuries. Cynthia brushed off the necessity, making excuses about her schedule. This wasn't the first time Cynthia had dismissed medical care, and it wouldn't be the last. On December 11, 2018, just hours after DCFS made their call, an interview with Cynthia's teenage daughter revealed that she knew more than she let on about the abuse. Though the details remained unclear, it was obvious that something was being concealed. Later that day, DCFS tried to interview Cynthia's 6-year-old daughter, but Cynthia blocked their attempts, preventing any meaningful investigation into what was really happening in the household. It became painfully clear that despite all the mounting evidence, the system was failing Rika. Teachers and counselors noticed Rika's emotional decline. She began withdrawing, her grades slipping, and she became visibly distressed. Rika, once a vibrant and eager student, no longer participated in class or raised her hand. She stopped smiling and stopped talking. Teachers who had known her since kindergarten were heartbroken by the transformation. Mrs. Harris, one of Rika's teachers, remembered how Rika used to be full of life. But by spring, she had changed. She used to come to school so full of energy, but by the end, it was like she wasn't there anymore, Mrs. Harris recalled. She'd sit quietly at her desk, barely able to make eye contact with anyone. It wasn't just Rika's teachers who noticed. Her peers saw the changes too. One teacher remarked, "She used to be the first to volunteer, always eager to be involved. But now, she wouldn't even speak up in class. When I asked her if she was okay, she'd always say, 'I'm fine.' But I could see the bruises on her arms, neck, and legs. Despite the repeated reports, nothing ever changed. DCFS made a few more visits to the home, but nothing substantial came from them. Rika's case was marked as resolved each time, despite the growing evidence of harm. By April 2019, Rika's physical and emotional state had deteriorated even further. Her once bright eyes were now dull, her spirit drained. Teachers continued to notice the drastic change in her behavior. She had stopped engaging with her classmates, and the joy she once exuded was replaced by a heavy sadness. But things took an even darker turn. On the night of January 6, 2019, Cynthia's violence reached its peak. The punishments became more frequent and more brutal. That night, Rika's frail body, already weakened from months of abuse, could no longer withstand the violence. She died that night. Hospital staff worked desperately to save her, but it was too late. Rika's tiny body had endured too much. She was just 8 years old. Rika's body told the story her voice could no longer share. The doctors and nurses saw the evidence, bruises of different sizes, fresh and fading, covering her small frame. Her face, arms, back, and legs bore the marks of relentless abuse. It was clear this was no accident. Rika's autopsy, performed on January 26, 2019, revealed the extent of the damage she had endured. Dr. Matthew Fox, at the Peoria County Coroner's Office, found over 60 scars on her body. Her chin, chest, back, arms, hands, thighs, and legs were all covered in bruises, some deep, some shallow, but all indicative of a life marked by violence. Inside, the damage was even worse. Dr. Fox's findings revealed a gruesome truth. Rika had suffered extensive internal injuries. Among these were an ileal perforation, a tear in the last part of her small intestine, abdominal adhesions, bruises on her face and upper arm, hemorrhaging around the pancreas, pulmonary edema, fluid in her lungs, cerebral edema, fluid buildup around her brain, and a blood-filled abdomen, a clear sign of severe internal trauma. Dr. Fox concluded that the cause of Rika's death was peritonitis, a dangerous infection of the abdominal lining brought on by blunt force trauma, which led to overwhelming inflammation and infection. Rika's small body simply couldn't fight anymore. While peritonitis can be fatal, it doesn't have to be. If caught early, it can be treated. It's diagnosed through X-rays, blood tests, scans, or even exploratory surgery. Rika had been vomiting for at least 2 days before her death and had complained of severe abdominal pain. Cynthia Baker herself admitted that Rika had blurred vision and trouble keeping her balance. Clear, urgent signs that something was terribly wrong. If Rika had been taken to a doctor, her life could have been saved. But instead, Rika's cries for help were ignored, her suffering dismissed. She was left to die. 5 days after Rika's death, on January 31, 2019, the Department of Children and Family Services, DCFS, received yet another disturbing report. This time, it was alleged that Richard Roundtree and Cynthia Baker had violated the safety plan by continuing to have contact with their surviving children. This raised a chilling question. Were they trying to manipulate the children into keeping their secret? Were they attempting to control the narrative before the truth could be uncovered? Although no criminal charges had yet been filed, Richard and Cynthia quickly hired an attorney. There was no funeral, no memorial for Rika. Instead, her body was sent to a funeral home in Galesburg for cremation. No ceremony, no final goodbye. But Rika's memory wouldn't be erased so easily. On February 2, 2019, just before her planned cremation, McLean County authorities intervened. They retrieved Rika's body for a second, more thorough autopsy. This examination was conducted by Chief Forensic Pathologist Dr. Scott Denton. Only after this second autopsy was completed was Rika's body cremated on February 11th. On the same day, Richard and Cynthia's remaining children were placed into protective custody. For those children, the nightmare might have finally ended, but for Rika, it was far too late. What remains now are the scars Rika left behind, not just the ones on her battered body, but also in the hearts of everyone who learned her story. Yet Cynthia Baker, the woman responsible for this brutality, showed no remorse, no grief, no sorrow. Instead, her focus was shocking. After learning of Rika's death, Cynthia's first words were not about the loss of her child, but about the vomit on the floor. "You better clean that up. It's disgusting," she said, completely indifferent to the fact that her actions had led to a child's death. This moment spoke volumes. It was clear that Rika's life, her suffering, meant nothing to Cynthia. The only thing that seemed to bother her was the inconvenience of cleaning up after a dead child. But the full extent of the horrors in that house was still hidden, until investigators uncovered something that would change everything. Upon searching Cynthia's phone, they found videos that would haunt the nation. These weren't innocent recordings. They were disturbing footage, stored in Cynthia's iCloud, documenting a life of abuse. The footage was unbearable. In one video, Cynthia can be seen screaming at Rika, forcing her to do menial tasks under threats of punishment. In another, she is physically beating Rika. The child's small body is visibly trembling with fear, trying desperately, but failing, to protect herself. As investigators and prosecutors watched the footage, their shock and disbelief were palpable. How could this have gone unnoticed for so long? How could a young girl endure such horror for months, perhaps years, without anyone stepping in to stop it? When the videos were leaked to the press, the public's response was swift and fierce. Outrage flooded the streets, and newsrooms were bombarded with calls. The community, once oblivious, now demanded answers. How had this gone on for so long? Why hadn't anyone intervened to save Rika? This was no longer just about one broken home. It was a wake-up call for the entire nation. How could the system have failed so completely? How could those who were supposed to protect children like Rika have turned a blind eye? On April 24, 2019, Cynthia Baker was arrested. She faced a range of charges, including first-degree murder, aggravated battery, and multiple counts of child abuse. At last, the wheels of justice began to turn. It seemed that, for once, the legal system was responding with the urgency this case demanded. But the battle wasn't over. Cynthia's arrest was just the beginning of a long, drawn-out legal fight. The public followed every twist and turn of the case, and the media closely scrutinized each detail. The nation continued to grapple with what had happened. For Rika's family, the emotional devastation was unimaginable. Antionetta, Rika's mother, was left to cope with the heart-wrenching aftermath of losing her daughter. Every day, she faced the crushing reality that she hadn't been able to protect Rika. "Every day without her feels like a lifetime," Antionetta said. "I wish I could have protected her. I failed her. I will always fail her." But it wasn't just Rika's immediate family who suffered. This tragedy reverberated through the entire community. Friends, neighbors, and teachers all looked back with painful regret. As the trial began, on one side was Cynthia Baker, accused of brutally murdering 8-year-old Rika Roundtree. On the other, the prosecution, determined to bring justice for the little girl who never stood a chance. The prosecution presented a case that was both compelling and deeply unsettling. They started with forensic evidence, facts that couldn't be disputed. Rika, once a bright and lively child, had endured immense suffering. Her small frame showed signs of repeated harm, with visible bruises and burns, evidence of mistreatment that had gone on for far too long. However, it was the internal injuries that truly revealed the extent of what had happened. The medical examination painted a heartbreaking picture. Severe abdominal trauma had caused internal damage, leading to complications that ultimately claimed her life. This wasn't an isolated event. It was part of a long and troubling pattern. Then, there was the digital evidence. Investigators uncovered videos stored in Cynthia Baker's iCloud account, footage that revealed the truth of what Rika had endured. The recordings were difficult to watch. In one, Cynthia was seen yelling at Rika, forcing her to clean for hours while exhaustion took over her small body. Another showed her reacting with aggression, while Rika tried to protect herself. The emotional weight of the evidence was undeniable. The jury couldn't look away. This wasn't just testimony, it was undeniable proof. And as difficult as it was to witness, it made one thing clear. Cynthia's actions had led to an irreversible tragedy, but the revelations didn't stop there. Cynthia's own children were called to the stand, and for the first time they spoke about the environment they had lived in. Their voices trembled as they recalled the fear and isolation, the way their home had felt more like a place of control than comfort. One of them described how 𝐟𝐸𝐾 would hide in corners, afraid to be noticed. How even the smallest mistakes could spark anger. How they had witnessed moments of despair that no child should ever have to experience. By the time 𝐟𝐸𝐾's family spoke, the weight of the trial was impossible to ignore. Her mother, Auntie Annetta, stood before the court with tear-filled eyes, describing a little girl who had once been so full of joy. A child who had loved to play, to laugh, to run into her mother's arms. A child who was now gone. Her voice shook, but her message was strong. She didn't want 𝐟𝐸𝐾's story to fade. She wanted people to know what had happened. The trial stretched on for weeks, but when the verdict was finally delivered, there was no doubt about the outcome. Cynthia Baker was found guilty. On July 14, 2019, she was sentenced to life in prison, with no possibility of parole. There would be no second chances. It was justice, but it could never undo what had happened. It couldn't bring 𝐟𝐸𝐾 back or erase the years of pain. All that remained was the heartbreaking reality. One life lost forever. While Cynthia faced her consequences, 𝐟𝐸𝐾's father, Richard Roundtree, could not escape his own responsibility. For years, he had been aware of the situation. He had seen the signs, heard the cries, but he had chosen not to act. Evidence revealed a series of text messages between Richard and Cynthia, messages that exposed a disturbing level of disregard for 𝐟𝐸𝐾's well-being. They spoke about her as if she were a burden, discussing her in ways no child should ever be spoken about. One exchange showed Cynthia expressing frustration, saying it was time for 𝐟𝐸𝐾 to leave. Richard's response: he agreed. Another message revealed a conversation where Cynthia admitted to using intimidation as a means of control. She even mentioned covering up an incident to avoid questions. Richard's reply: he approved. These messages, along with everything else presented in court, told a deeply unsettling story. But as disturbing as they were, nothing could prepare those in the courtroom for what they were about to see next. The footage revealed the heartbreaking reality of what 𝐟𝐸𝐾 endured at the hands of those who should have cared for her. And in the end, the truth could no longer be ignored. On August 12, 2019, Richard Roundtree accepted a plea deal. By pleading guilty to charges related to endangering a child's safety, he was sentenced to 8 years in prison. 8 years. A punishment that felt far too lenient for someone who had stood by and allowed such suffering to happen. It wasn't justice in the fullest sense, but it was at least recognition that his inaction had played a role in this tragedy. While his sentence was nowhere near as severe as Cynthia's, it was a reminder that failing to protect a child has consequences. But 𝐟𝐸𝐾's case also exposed a deeper issue: serious shortcomings within the Department of Children and Family Services. Reports of mistreatment had been filed by teachers and others, yet no significant action was taken. This wasn't an isolated case. It pointed to a system struggling with a lack of resources, inadequate training, and bureaucratic obstacles that allowed children like 𝐟𝐸𝐾 to slip through the cracks. Determined to create change, Auntie Annetta took action. In 2020, she worked alongside lawmakers to draft a new bill designed to strengthen oversight in child welfare cases. Informally known as 𝐟𝐸𝐾's Law, the proposed legislation called for stricter monitoring, background checks for caregivers, and mandatory follow-ups on reported concerns. While the bill is still in progress, it marks an important step toward ensuring no other child is left unprotected. Auntie Annetta's fight for change is making a difference, one policy at a time. But 𝐟𝐸𝐾's story isn't just about tragedy. It's about the lessons we need to learn. It's a wake-up call, a reminder that protecting children isn't just the responsibility of parents or teachers. It's a collective effort. It's about speaking up when something feels wrong, looking out for those who can't stand up for themselves, and demanding better from the systems meant to protect them. Her story challenges us to ask difficult but necessary questions. How can we make sure no child's pain goes unnoticed? How do we hold institutions accountable when they fail? How do we create a world where stories like 𝐟𝐸𝐾's never happen again? Her life was cut short far too soon, but her story continues to shine as a call for change. Justice for 𝐸𝐸𝐾𝐭 means justice for every child. Let her story remind us to always pay attention, always speak up, and always protect those who need it most. Which part of this story impacted you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And while you're here, don't forget to check out our other videos, like and subscribe to support our channel. Rest in peace, little 𝐸𝐸𝐾𝐿.